Dan. Dan Scott. Daniel Scott. Daniel Taylor Scott. That's an angry mother now. Daniel Taylor Scott. But now you're probably asking yourselves, how many first names can one man have? Sorry, Morgan, but welcome to the club. That joke would have been much better if the mic worked correctly. For all the Scotts in the room that I've just offended, I'm sorry. My name is Rob Ham. I am not, in fact, Rob Ham. That is Rob Ham. Side story, we almost lost Rob Ham this morning. Ask about that later. My name is Steve Lyon. I've had the distinct pleasure of being best friends with Daniel for the last 15 years. Now, as most of you know, Danny has a passion for stand-up comedy. I was always really impressed by his ability to get up on stage despite the nerves and to do what he loved. Danny always wanted me to do stand-up. Instead, I decided to pursue a career and become successful. With that being said, in honor of Danny's love for stand-up, I've tried to make this toast as comedic as possible. And now, in the spirit of Dan's routines, I've also made sure the jokes are just sort of meh. So, over the next 45 minutes, I'm going to take you all on a journey filled with both laughter and tears. 45 minutes, that's right, guys. I told you this was happening, and it's happening. Hope everyone used the restroom. In the essence of the short time we have, a number of stories I wish I could tell. I will periodically be inserting headlines from stories that only Daniel, myself, and a few others are aware. While I realize for most of you this will not be funny in real time, I can assure you that if you ask Danny to tell you the full stories later, he will become wildly uncomfortable. Bridget Fall, Red Solo Cup. Now, before we jump into this, where are Susan and Steve? What a beautiful job we did. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. One problem I had with it, however, at no point did we ask if anybody had any objections. I'd like to take a minute, now that you've all had some time to think, see if anyone would like to speak up. Nobody. Peter? Patty? Okay. Well, I've prepared my toast to this point, so this is kind of awkward. I really thought someone was going to step up here. I guess not. I guess it only makes sense, though, that I now tell a few tales from the love story of two young boys. Remember, back in high school, over summer break, Danny and I used to do construction for his dad. By do construction, I mean that Danny and I would show up super late, put tool belts on, hammer a few nails into 2x4s, and call it a day, pretty much. Remember one day at lunch, though, we hopped in Danny's green Mercedes, and we went to the 7-Eleven out on the island. That's what the local folks call Sanibel. Danny and I got out of the car, proceeded to put our tool belts back on, to walk inside with a certain swagger that said, "Yeah, I work in construction." We were pretty cool. Now, over the years, Danny's got me in a bit of trouble. He's a real son of a... Kim and Ray Scott, ladies and gentlemen, here with us tonight. Excellent. I can remember I used to walk into Kim and Ray's house with Mr. Brad Johnson. Where's Brad? Hey, Florida State Trooper. Him and his wife just found out they're having a baby. That's his wife. Did you see her having any drinks tonight? No. But Brad and I would walk in at the same time, and Kim would see Brad. I watched her do this last night as well. And she would explain in only a way that Kim can, "BJ! After what seemed like a minute of real time, she then open her eyes, look over BJ's shoulder, and say, "Hi, Steve." It's emotional for me, Kim. You just don't get it. For years, Danny and I were inseparable. We spent every day together. Whether it was going to our high school sporting events, playing foosball for absurd amounts of time, other stuff, talking for hours on our parents' balcony, playing Halo, in which Danny would proclaim, after getting 2 simultaneous kills, "Double kill, double kill, double kill." Or perhaps it was returning our tuxedos the morning after prom to a one Mr. Harold Fulton Jr. I kid you not, this is exactly what the gentleman said. Danny and I proceeded to hand him our garments, which I'm pretty sure we had changed out of in a 7-Eleven bathroom. You'll notice a trend with 7-Elevens here, apparently. We handed Harold the garments, and he said this: "Never in my 32 years of tuxedo rentals have I ever seen a tuxedo returned in such tip-top condition." They're good times. Danny and I love hanging out with each other. This guy's been my best friend for 15 years. There's no one in the world that knows me better than Dan Scott. Friendships that you form like that back in high school or during formative years, they can't be recreated. They're special. As we've changed over the years, we've always stayed close. We can always remember the people we once were. Now I want to transition away from Danny and I's man bond now and talk a little bit about the people we're all here to celebrate. Danny and Morgan. Now Chrissy just touched on it a bit, which I'm guessing you're going to be the person that actually said the punchline of my story. But I'll work that in. As I understand the story of how Danny and Morgan got together, they both worked at Hurricanes. Morgan, a beloved bartender, and Danny, a filthy cook. That is so accurate, isn't it? No ranch today, folks. One night, after Danny got done with his shift, I understand he proceeded up to the bar where he would order a few drinks. Morgan would serve those drinks. At the end of the night, Daniel had built up enough liquid courage to leave his phone number at the bottom of the receipt. Classy move. It is reported that Morgan asked one of her coworkers, which I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it was Chrissy, "What do you think of Dan Scott?" Chrissy and or other coworker then proceeded to say, "Ew." I'd like to think that's when Morgan knew Danny was the one. Now, I know this has been sort of emotional so far, but I'm really going to get sappy here. Nikesh, can I have you dim those lights? One person turned. All right, thank you for that. I needed that. The next joke was, folks, there's no Nikesh. This is a wedding reception, not a Netflix special. With that being said, I will say this. Morgan, for the last 5 years or so, you have listened to Danny and I banter about absolute nonsense. And you've never once complained. To me, at least. I imagine you give Danny a lot of help on this. I'm just kidding. Morgan truly is a sweetheart. She's fun to be around, she's lighthearted, she's caring, and she honestly loves Dan Scott so much, it's absolutely beautiful. Over the years, you've become close with my wife, my son, making a ruckus back there now. I apologize. I love you, son. You know, Danny's always been a brother to me, and you've really become family to me as well. I remember before I got married, someone asked me how I knew my wife was the one. And I said, it's because she makes me a better person every single day that I'm with her. And Morgan, that's exactly what you do for Danny. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up. Danny gave a toast at my wedding, following one of my brothers, Peter, giving his thoughtful words and well wishes. Peter said I was always good at making friends, good at sports, I always got the girls, and even as an older brother, he looked up to me. Danny then proceeded to get on stage and word for word began his speech like this. I don't know what Peter was talking about. We were losers. I mean, completely. The truth is, we weren't really losers. We were just two young guys doing some dumb stuff along the way, right? But just as my wife did for me, you were fortunate enough to have found Morgan, who you can spend your life with, and who has actually made you presentable to the outside world. Now, without further ado, I'd love if we can all raise our glasses. See Higgins, he's upstairs. May your lives together be better than you could have ever dreamed. Cheers to Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Scott.
All right, once again, making some noise for the best man.